This is Annie Kid Wolf, and you're watching This is Punk Rock of Punk Globe magazine.
1, 2, 3, 4. Punk rock, punk rock, punk rock. 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 It ain't brain surgery. Punk rock, punk rock, punk rock. 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 It ain't brain surgery. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This is Punk Rock. We're here with the amazing Betty X, another incredible woman, front person, extraordinaire songwriter. I love your music, and I'm really happy to have you here. You got a great career, and you got so much on the horizon that I want to hear about. I'd love to hear a little bit in your words about how you started and why you started, and because you do some music that's pretty heavy, and then you have some music that's you're kind of like me, which
I
I
was gonna
is
say,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
all over the
yeah, very
place,
similar. Yeah, yeah.
diverse.
Diverse.
Yeah,
Eclecticism.
exactly. So tell me a little bit about when you first started music, and this series is kind of based around punk rock. So I want to
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
a little bit about your perspective on that too, and what that
Sure,
word means to you.
sure. When I first started music, I started a little bit later than most people. Some people they start preteen and teen age, and I think that would be an excellent time to start. But I was shy, and so I was an avid music collector and listening to music, and was more into visual arts back then because I want to do performance art, I wanted to sing, but way too shy. So I started a little bit later. It's like right when I started college in Seattle, at Cornish College of the Arts. Um, but the very first like inspiration of why I wanted to get into music, it's my dad, he was a drummer in Seattle in swing and rockabilly bands,
Oh,
and he
wow.
would tell me stories, and it sounded so much fun. The 50s, it just sounded like this David Lynchian like dream world, and I was kind of like, oh, that must have been so much fun. So you would have all these 45s, and this is pre-internet. There wasn't, you couldn't just stream any movie or anything like that. You would have to wait
Yeah.
till a song came on the radio and then rush to record it on a cassette tape. So it felt magical, and you had to rely on coincidence to find a song. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so hours like
What
rainy
year would
days.
this be? What year would this be?
Oh boy, it's 70s, early 70s.
Right.
So there just wasn't, you couldn't just go, I want to hear this
Yeah,
song by
yeah, for
Bo
sure.
Diddley right now, and then go on Spotify.
And that's
So
when your dad was drumming?
yeah, he was drumming and like in the 50s and 60s, and then I was born, he kind of mellowed out and then was
Right.
doing just theater music. But I just was obsessed with his 45 collection. I couldn't keep out of it. It's like some people are in coloring books, and I'm like playing his 45s, and I would
Right.
slow them down and play them backwards. And so it started there with, I would say, jazz, blues, rockabilly, swing music, Billie Holiday. And then listening to the college radios, and a lot of the stations I got, and growing up on Whidbey Island, was from Vancouver, Canada. So yes, it's because of Canada, thank God. I couldn't get the stations very clear. My dad was so fucking cool. He went on the roof and put this huge antenna
Oh,
up because he knew I wanted to hear like what is the music coming from Europe and Canada, and this magical thing called punk rock. And he loved it. He's like oh, you take a blues standard or a jazz standard and you speed up the drums and you got punk rock. And he's like, oh, the Sex Pistols, this is kind of cool. Um, so I couldn't get enough of anything that was coming from overseas, like in Europe and Canada in particular. And I just loved, I loved Deborah Harry. She was probably the first, and Joan Jett was the first I probably seen on American TV. And I'm like, oh, who's this wonderfully strange woman? I was entranced. And the whole Andy Warhol crowd. And then this magical woman came into my plane of existence. And I don't know how, I don't know the exact moment, but it was Nina Hagen. And
Oh, yes.
it blew my mind. I was like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is going on? Like, she was fearless,
Yeah.
absolutely fearless, says whatever she wants, whether she should or not, especially now. But back then, she was like speaking my language, just screaming and yodeling about aliens and being abducted.
Oh,
And I'm like,
yeah.
who is this beautiful, crazy woman? It's like if Cyndi Lauper was more insane. And I
Yeah,
love
and
Cyndi
her
Lauper.
vocals, because it came from opera,
Yeah.
was so
Oh,
intense and
so
so
good.
me too.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
my main
Uh-huh.
female influence because she'd go
Yeah.
on sex, punk rock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so,
Yeah. Yeah. And then she hit these low notes in opera and
yeah,
then really high
yeah.
notes. And I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but I couldn't get enough of it. It was like I was addicted to music and I wanted to mainline it and I just couldn't fucking get enough. And I like the Sex Pistols quite a bit, even though I know it's like two people in London and UK. They were a boy band, but I did like
Whatever.
I liked the rebellion and Johnny Rotten just seemed like such a crazy, obnoxious asshole. And I was drawn to that. I mean, obviously, being a preteen, you're like, fuck this, fuck that, let's burn
Yeah,
down
totally.
institutions and burn down this school. I was like, yes. And then the song Abortion, fuck you. I was like, oh my God, I love it. So, yes, even though they were a boy band, I still really liked the vibe. And Sid Vicious singing that My Way song off key, like, and shooting himself in the video and shooting the crowd. And I was just
Yeah.
like, yes, it
Well,
was
music,
the
music
answer
was,
to,
yeah,
yeah.
music wasn't like that. Like it didn't,
Oh, yeah.
there wasn't an approach to music that was like that. It was so kind of like in your face, like, wow.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there had been things like Led Zeppelin with Robert
Yeah,
Plant, just like, powerful vocals and crazy differentness
true.
and the Doors,
Yeah.
the craziness. But
Yeah, the
something
Doors.
about the Sex Pistols was so
Yeah.
crazy because it was like, this is obviously chaos, right? And
Chaos
and
incarnate. Yes. Yes.
yeah, so it changed a lot of the way
Hmm.
I mean, in my world and in the
Yeah,
world
yeah.
in general. So definitely, whether it's a boy band or whether it's a whatever, it's great to just, all those little influences. Like Tom
Yeah.
Jones was a huge influence to me.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like,
He's so cheesy. He's
yeah,
weird
but his
and
vocal
wonderful.
style, like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's what's up, pussycat? Yeah, but Nate loves Tom Jones. It's like, and then he's in the Tim Burton movies. I'm like, that's just so perfect. But yeah, it was, I think it's like being very young in the 70s, there was very fun music like ABBA. I loved it. It was very fun and you could sing like on top of your lungs in my mom's convertible, like, ah, ABBA. But there was just something about how obnoxiously bizarre Nina Hagen was and Sid Vicious and Johnny Rotten. It was kind of like, oh, this is nice. I have permission. I don't have to be nice. I don't have to be a nice girl and say whatever the fuck I want.
yeah.
So it was this permission to be completely and 100% obnoxious. And it appealed to me. I mean, there was like nice bands like Duran Duran, the Pretty Boys, and
Yeah.
Robert Smith is just absolutely gorgeous and all his kitty catness. But they still, I don't know, Robert Smith can be kind of obnoxious, but in his music, he's got that edge too. So I was like,
Yeah.
really like Robert Smith. I'm like, the effeminate boy, and it wasn't like these macho guys singing, and it was like, ooh, what's going on here with the
Yeah.
pretty kitty cat boy with the love cats, and the androgyny just pulled me in. I was like, oh, there's other weirdos out there and other misfits that are speaking my language in a Rocky Horror Picture Show. I was like, Tim Curry, I was like, oh my God, who
Yeah.
is this magical man? He's so
Yeah.
hot. Yeah.
I
So that's
get
how
it.
I kind of got sucked in. It just, I think it just happened when I was like in 9 or 10 years old. Yeah, 9 years old. I had a huge crush on Deborah Harry. And I was just like, who is this wonderful woman? And then Andy Warhol. I was like, oh God, he looks like an alien. He's so weird. I just was drawn like a magnet to it. And it just, no matter what, there was nothing that could disconnect that attraction. It was powerful.
So did you take art in school? Like what form of
Did.
art did you take before you got into music?
Um, I went to Cornish College of the Arts under fine art. And then when I applied, I said I'd like to see if I could do performance art. And they didn't have, they had theater, musical theater, fine arts, design, and performance production, like creating the theater sets. And I was
Right.
like, no, I want to do performance art. And they didn't have that section, but they allowed me to take classes from theater and visuals and put it together, and then video. So I started taking that, and I did create music at Cornish. It was absolutely horrible. And I wish I had some recordings because it sucked so bad. But it was my music, and at least I did it. It was I was really into Laurie Anderson,
Oh yeah.
and I was obsessed.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's so cool. I was obsessed with the Dada movement and just couldn't stop thinking about them, and had a 24-hour art happening at Cornish where they said you don't need drugs, you could just tap into delirium. And I had other people do theater performance with me. And one of these people you're going to know, his name is Brendan Fraser from Vancouver, Canada.
That's
And
awesome.
he was so open-minded. I was really at first shocked when I took the theater class because he looked more, I don't know, more normal, I guess normal, but his mind was far from normal. I was like, oh, okay, I got him into Dada, and he's like, oh, I want to do this performance thing with you. And it was something about a saint, Lucy or something, plucking out her eyes, and he's half naked, covered with blood, like Saint Sebastian. And I'm like, I wish I still had that video, because I'm just kind of like, I see him now in the mummy and stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is so weird.
Yeah.
Um, it's very cool though. And he's a very sweet, wonderful person. So I'm really happy for him. But yeah, he
Yeah.
was very open-minded to weird stuff. He wasn't like,
That's great.
nah, you know, Shakespeare only. Um, but that's where the bug kind of hit. And I would make paintings, and I loved, 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 loved paint. Like just the smell of it, the texture, the oil paint. Like I could just be in love with the material of paint and just stay that forever. I would. But I'd started to make paintings, and I wanted them to move. And so I started doing video, and I was trying to figure out how to communicate my ideas via a static image, and it was becoming more challenging. So I started using projections and music that I wrote and like one person shows, and it kind of blossomed from there. And I got sucked into doing some performance art in Seattle. Um, and it was pretty
And
weird.
so what year was that?
Um, I started Cornish in '88. Um, so it's still the late '80s, and I was too young to go into bars. But this was a wonderful time period where people didn't really ID. If they recognized you, they're like, come on in. So I was sneaking into the Vogue and all these places. Just, I needed to hear these '80s bands because I was like, the '80s are almost up, and I always had this feeling I'm missing on missing out on all this shit. The people that are 10 years older are getting to go to all these cool shows and seeing performance art and the Village and Andy Warhol. So it's like trying to grow up fast so I could get in there and see what's going on.
I know
Um,
the feeling.
Seattle was a very, very different and very bizarre place. The dive bars were so much fun, um, less pretentious and not as hipstery. Like it would be a genuine tiki bar from the 1930s, and you talk to people that were from World War II, and they tell you their stories
So
and
cool.
jukeboxes and think, the floor is all fucked up and kind of dangerous. And oh, they're serving like after 3 o'clock, just close the door, speakeasies, just all kinds of weird shit. And so it's trying,
That must
trying
have
to
been
finish.
that must have been really cool time to be starting your musical career too, and
Yeah, it
influences that you
was.
must have had just even from those conversations with those old
Oh
ones,
yeah,
right?
yeah. There was so many great places like Jimmy Woo's on Broadway had World War II vets that were transsexuals, and they would tell me their stories in bathhouses in foreign countries. And I'm like, sit down and tell me everything. I want to hear everything. Tell me, trying to absorb it through their stories. But I like the lack of pretentiousness
Yeah.
and how divey everything was in the bars. Now it's hard to find anything like that. Like you go to the Doghouse, it's 24 hours, and it was the I'm gonna forget his name. Dick Dickerson. Yeah, Dick Dickerson and the Dickerson band. And he was this very drunk Irish guy. His face would turn bright red, and they'd come through there singing like drunk Irish chants while people are ordering pancakes and whatnot after being at the rendezvous in the frontier room all night. And the waitresses were out of a weird David Lynch movie, like with a bouffant and a cigarette burned all the way down to the
Oh
end,
my
like,
God.
what the fuck do you want? And if you don't order fast enough, they skip you. And so you kind of like intimidated to order very quickly. And I'm underage, so everything is overwhelming as
Yeah.
is, but I'm loving it. And this is where I met some of the people in the grunge scene, like Chris Cornell and the oh God, I blank out.
It's
Blank
okay.
out on the Seattle singers. This is not good. But the song on the jukebox came out was YMCA. And everybody in the entire place, punk, goth, grunge rockers, hair farmers, weirdos, homeless people, drunk Irish people, all of us got up and was singing the YMCA song. And I was like, this
Wow.
is just a magical moment of unity and this blue collar, lowbrow Seattle vibe.
Wow, that's so cool because that's like when you say magical, it's like you got a piece of magic and
Yeah. Yeah.
everything was so authentic.
Yep. Yep.
It was just like you got what people write about, not,
Yeah.
so when you say about it being, being real, it's like
Hmm.
you got that and people who experienced it decided like whether they're screenwriters or whatever, they're like, I'm gonna write
Yeah.
about this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
live in it, which is such a brilliant experience for, a budding musician, right?
Yes. It was, it was very, it's like the people in the grunge rock music scene were very accepting. And I did not dress grunge. I kind of would dress more goth, but they were more accepting, more friendly. And at that point in time, I wasn't really into grunge music. I could appreciate what they were doing, but my heart was still really into new wave and punk because I didn't get to experience it.
Hmm.
And so I was like stuck in that little, time warp. But I just remember thinking, wow, all these people in that scene, I don't remember ever making me feel like I didn't belong. So I'm very thankful for that. And it was unfortunate and sad to go to a goth event and feel like I wasn't supposed to be there. And I took my friend Lane to the Color Box to a goth night. He liked goth music, but he was wearing blue jeans. And they started to, that's where the pretentious started. You can't come into this club because you're wearing ripped blue jeans. And I said, but he's Lane and he's an Alice in Chains and he likes this music. He's a
Yeah.
nice person. And they just snubbed him when they were rude. And I was like, this is not cool. So we went back to the Vogue where you can dress like a metalhead, a bat caver, a butt rocker, a grunge rocker, a hair farmer, and everyone's getting along. And I really, really miss that because I like all kinds of music. So it's very difficult for me to go into a club and say, oh, my friend can't come in. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's not fucking cool. So yeah, there was a weird, the last of the 80s, a lot of the bands that are grunge, they were weaning off the Batcave hairdos. So they still had that old school that liked goth music, but they were being pushed out of that scene. And it was very weird. I never fully understood that. And I'd go to clubs in Vancouver and I don't remember being like, you can't come in here, you're wearing blue jeans. Um, I'm sure there was, but like the
Yeah,
love affair.
I don't
Oh,
remember
and
that either because I remember we were just all like just
yeah,
pile in and watch something.
yeah,
And there was always like a warehouse party or something.
yes,
You know,
yeah,
we were
those are
too
good.
young, so we would go to these house parties or
Mhm.
different things. And then, when all these different shows playing these shows in Vancouver, we were all kind of different, and I think
Yeah, yeah,
that was what was the cool thing is being the outcast. But there definitely were like the goth clubs or the different
yeah,
things where people would kind of look at you up and down.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I
And
think
it's
that,
fun, but
yeah,
it's just at the same time, I think they lost out because those grunge rockers with
of
the long
course.
hair, they were fucking hot. And I'm thinking, you're lost. You get to miss out on this shit.
But
Chris
also
Burnett,
too,
he's gorgeous. Yeah,
I think it's fear also. Like people
yeah,
always judge
yeah.
other people because of their own fears and
It's
insecurities,
true.
right? So it's like,
Yeah,
when people are young and they're afraid that they're
yeah,
too fat or too this or too that
true.
or their
Yeah,
hair isn't huge enough or whatever the hell it is. It's something and they project. So I know
yeah,
as a person, an older artist, I can
yeah,
see
yeah.
that when I get a lot of pushback from
That
people.
makes sense.
I
Yeah,
can see that. I can go, well, you got your own shit to deal with, and I'm just going to be me, right? And I
yeah.
think that about you too, though. I think that you've really done a lot of stuff in your career that you want to. And that's why talking about being a diverse artist is that
Mhm,
you
mhm.
have a vast palette of things that you like. And it comes out in all the different styles of music that you sort of weave together, which
Yeah.
I love and but it's still you at the core, right? Um,
Mhm.
so tell me about your first real project or real band. Like how did you break into that so you were playing gigs and playing live?
That was strange. I had graduated from Cornish, and my painting instructor was talking about Prague. The year was 1992, and the wall came down a couple years prior, and it still was kind of this untouched feeling. And so I was like, I need to go to Prague. So I went to
Wow.
Prague for 6 months, and I loved it. It was so stunningly beautiful, and it had the most intense off the chart dreams there. I felt like it was like there was a very thin veil between the dream world and reality living there. And so
Wow.
I had a dream. This is the craziest shit in it, but it's true. I had a very vivid dream. I saw myself on stage singing like punk rock cabaret and with a violinist on stage. And I recognized the person from Seattle, but I had zero clue he was a musician, let alone played a violin. And I could hear the music. It sounded like gypsy tinged Nina Hagen type of rock. And I was wearing a pink wig in the dream and like down to everything I was supposed to wear on the stage. And the announcer is like, the band is Salon Betty. And I was like, what the fuck is this dream? So I, of course, tell my best friend Sean Herman, who was in Prague with me at the time. And he's like, it's destiny. You're going to start this band. And And I was like, I don't fucking know how to write music. I mean, literally
Wow, cool.
self-taught, like making horrible sounds on keyboards and chord organs and whatnot. So I said, fuck it, who cares? Anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Like,
Yeah,
who cares?
for
So
sure.
I go back to Seattle and I bump into that violinist, Rob. And I said, I had this weird dream about you that you play violin. And he had his case and he goes, I do. And I'm like, I had a dream we're supposed to do this gypsy rock music. There goes my eyelash. And he goes, I've always wanted to do that kind of music. And he goes, I love Nina Hagen and Klaus Nomi. And so that was the sign. So we started
Wow.
on Betty. And I just thought it was weird, like just how everything just kind of fell together, like boom, 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 boom. Within
Yeah.
2 months, we had a show at a speakeasy downtown, H2O, and Jason and Jared Harler. They were big names in the 90s at that time, promoting Portishead and all these bands. But it was really fun. Crazy speakeasy shows. And then the next thing we were booked at Moe's nightclub, and everyone was saying, oh, it'll take 2 or 3 years to get booked there, and you have to do this, and you have to be in a band for 8 years, and you have to sing backup. And I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck that. And I walked in and I talked to the guy. I said, do you need a band for this night? And he's like, yeah. I said, we'll play it. And we were booked. And so I was like, I didn't want to just sit there. You have to play the rules, play by the rules, play the game. And I'm like, I'm not fucking playing your game.
Yeah.
No, I'm not, I'm not going to wait 8 years to play a bar that may not be there in 8 years. And so I was
Yeah.
like, no, I don't want to do this. So, yeah, that's how Sloan Betty came into fruition. Like it just manifested from this crazy fucking dream, which strangely
That's
enough,
cool.
kind of how I live my life. I think this eyelash is going to take off. Hang on one second.
I think it's your, is it your hair in your
Oh,
eyelash?
it's the
There it is.
bangs. Okay, I
I could
thought the
see it.
bangs
I
was
was
going to
like,
take
wait a
the
second.
eyelash.
I know
Take the
you're like
eyelash.
ripping the, you're so punk rock. You're just gonna be like, throw it all.
So,
Awesome.
Slom Betty was very fun band. It was crazy. It just once got started, it just didn't stop. We were getting booked. We played a really cool event in Music West, 1995. Yeah, 1995, at a strip club called the Penthouse,
Oh yeah.
and that show was so
I
awesome.
played Music West in 1995 at the Penthouse also. So
I think we were trying to figure out if it was the same show.
I think
It
either
was.
the same show or it was the next night because we were
You
on
know
the
what?
bill. I remember your
The
name from
the
that Salon Betty.
and it was like supposed to be like Carrie's prom or something like that. And
That was something crazy.
there was, do
Isn't that
you, okay.
crazy? I
It
remember
was
that.
so crazy. I wish that I had a GoPro on back then and to film
Yeah.
everything because I was like backstage getting drunk on tiki drinks. And I'm like, I need to see what's going on out there. Because our keyboard player at the time, his name was Joey Microwave. And he was a biology teacher at the University of Washington. And he was like, he kind of reminded me of Brendan Fraser, like really sweet and happy, gregarious, and like, hi guys, but crazy as like batshit insane. And he's like, Betty, you got to come see this. I mean, it has like a real 50s Lynch vibe. And I'm like, what? You won't believe it. She's shooting eggs out of her vagina. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
move aside. I run down the stairs and I go out there and lo and behold, shooting eggs out of her vagina. And I was like, fuck
Wow.
yeah, now this is a party. And I was
The
like,
90s.
this was so raunchy. And I tell this story to Al all the time. And he's like, God damn it, I don't think I've ever seen this. And I said, you've never seen someone shoot eggs out of their vagina? Where have you been, Al? I thought Al saw everything or did everything. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he has since you told him, or who knows, right? He just forgot. He was super high that day.
Yeah. Oh boy. But yeah, that was a fun show. And I met Jello. I believe that was the first time I met Jello Biafra backstage. And
Yeah.
it was such a tiny, like it was so cramped. It was like being in a the smallest green room possible, and everyone's jammed in there, like trying to move
It
and
was super tiny
put
back
wigs
there.
on. And then the guy from, what was that? He was like your MTV guy. It was like real famous dude. Like it's like microphone in my mouth, or not in my mouth,
Oh,
near my
there's
mouth.
Terry, was it
That's
Terry?
it.
Yeah.
I think it's not Much Music. It was called
Yeah, it's much
what was it?
music.
Much Music?
Yeah,
Okay,
you're
so
right.
like,
Yeah,
and then Jello's behind me going, "No, tell him to go fuck himself." And he's doing this.
of course.
And I
Leave
couldn't
it to Jello.
concentrate. And I was just like, oh my God. It's like we're packed in there trying to drink alcohol, trying to get to the restroom, and it was just so fucking crowded in that room. It was such a good
Good
experience though.
experience for sure.
Yeah. Always
That's
have
so
fun in
cool.
Canada.
So you took this band for a long time. You did this band, you guys did a whole bunch of cool shit. And then
Yeah.
you moved from Seattle to Texas because you're in Texas now, right? So how did you
I'm
get from there to there? What's the crossover?
That's a great question. I had our sound girl, audio girl. She was from Austin, Texas in the 90s. And she she remembers it when it was a run like Blue State, like Ann Richards. Like she had very fond memories, and the rent was really cheap still. So it's like after I went back to Cornish for a second degree in, I want to say 2009. Yeah, 2009. And I was just kind of burned out. Seattle was starting to feel very uptight. There was one metal club left,
Yeah.
and all my favorite bars were going under. The Bad Juju Lounge, gone. The Hulu, what was it? The Luau Lounge, gone. And it was just more and more uptight hipster places where people are like being
Yeah.
snooty. And I was like, no. So it was kind of, she was like, come back, come to Austin and visit. And there was the dive bars. And it felt like Seattle in the 90s again. And I was wanted to recapture that feeling before it just kind of, because it's kind of like this capitalism just takes over, and it takes it all. Eventually there will be no, dive bars or anything. It'll just be condos and places that people don't really want to live. And it's like, get rid of the venues because they're too noisy. So Austin in 2010 was still had some really crazy shit, like the Alamo Draft House and after hours parties with Robert Rodriguez and the owner and Elijah Wood that were fucking insane. And then they kind of got in trouble for how crazy their parties were, and it became corporate. And I'm like, here we go. It's
Yeah.
the great nothingness is taking over. Um, but the weather, I like the weather and the music
Yeah.
scene. The weather is pretty fucking extreme though. It's
So
like almost 100 in May last week.
so where are you in Austin now? Is that where you guys are?
I'm in Austin right now. Right now in
Okay.
Austin proper. Yeah.
Do
Um,
you, what is it like today? Like if we're talking about punk rock and we're talking about corporate stuff that's kind of taken
mhm.
over and the whole idea of punk rock in the past and then the way it is today, what do you feel like with Austin? Like what do you feel there what the vibe is today? Like how would like how much has it changed, let's say?
It in 10 years, it to me, it feels like it's changed a lot. And I guess I should say 15 years. It feels like it's changed significantly. The rent's gone up, and all these great weird shops just disappearing. Food trucks everywhere. Now there's not so many. I just loved it. It was like gourmet food in unpretentious settings. A lot of cool clubs came and went. There's still a fair amount of clubs to play. Where if I go back to Seattle, it's slim pickings, and to
Yeah.
me, it's just very limiting feeling. I'd say there's still a healthy amount of do-it-yourselfism here. Um, and it's juxtaposition of the weirdest fucking shit happening politically. Like
Yeah.
it's I never would imagine growing up in Washington State that I would ever say, I now live in a state where I could go to prison for seeking, not getting, seeking an abortion. And
Yeah.
that terrifies me. And this is not just,
Wow.
even if you get an ectopic pregnancy where it could kill you, they will not, in the emergency ward here, save your life. And so I keep thinking about that, going, how the fuck is this legal? Like, it's a
Yeah.
human rights violation. And I feel like I'm screaming it on top of my lungs. And it's like, oh, well, what can we do? And I'm like, women are human beings. Like,
Does
and
that
now
affect your music? Does it affect your writing and your lyrics?
it's, it has, I started writing in 2006, an album called Religious Reich, because the backlash with the Tea Party with Obama in office, I was beyond thrilled that Obama won. But I had this horrible feeling, yeah, the white supremacist people, there's going to be a backlash. And when there's a backlash, I don't think we know what's going to fucking hit us. And I kept telling people in Seattle, we live in this bubble and we're protected, but go down south. And they are not going to ever give up on this Roe versus Wade. They're coming for it. And they're like, it'll never happen. And I wish that was true, but I was like, no, they're going to fucking push this issue until each and every one of those religious nuts dies. And it happened. And so it's affected my music back then when I was living somewhere safer. And here I feel there's this a fear of, will I say something that gets me arrested? And I've never really experienced that feeling before. I always believed in freedom of speech. As long as you're not threatening to kill someone, you should be able to speak your mind. And now I could go on stage and say something, I could be arrested just for saying pro-choice or giving a pamphlet to another woman or a teenage girl could get me put in jail. And to me, that's not America. That's not how I was raised America to be. And I'm thinking, this is more strict than the 50s. You could talk about it. And so it's this feeling of, holy shit, like a frog slowly boiling. Like I'm living in an occupied
Yeah, definitely.
state. And it's fucking bizarre. It's like, I don't know. I just
Does
sometimes
that
think,
does that affect the way the lyrics that you write? Do you think that
yeah,
being around it, you feel that kind of pain and you want to put that in your music?
yeah,
Or do you feel that it makes you like afraid to put it in your music because you're afraid
both,
to go to prison? Like, so it's just
both.
it's they're both very valid, right?
Yeah, I have both. I have fears of both because I'm writing like rewriting a song actually. I wrote back in 2006. We released it in 2009 and didn't really like the way it turned out, want to remaster it. So I'm kind of retooling it, rethinking it. It's called Pro Strife. And it's about what's going on. But what's weird is the lyrics haven't really changed. And I wrote them in 2006 because it
Wow.
was this, I kept having nightmares about like a Handmaid's Tale happening.
Yep.
And I thought, no, it can't happen in Washington, but I wasn't really thinking about Texas. And oh boy,
Yeah.
I didn't realize how people are really into religion here. And I'm like, whoa. In the Northwest, it's more like Buddhism and it's more balanced. There's like Christians, but they didn't seem like they were
Well,
gonna lynch
I
people. I
think
wasn't as afraid.
that Texas is a place that's into religion, and
Oh
maybe
yeah.
a place in Washington would be into God or Jesus or love
Hmm.
in that sort of way. And
Yeah.
religion wouldn't be the center of it. But places like Texas, it's very religious, right? So
It's
I
very
think
religious.
there's
Yeah.
a big difference
Hmm.
there. And I know Christians that
Yeah.
are very God
Yeah.
is love, Jesus is love.
Exactly. Yeah.
Religion is religion, and religion is
Yeah.
what the problem is, right? and
Yeah.
and they're full-blown Christians. So I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that, you don't have to believe in God or you have to have one thing one way. It's just
Mhm.
a, I guess it's just such a harsh reality of how big of a divide things
Mhm.
are, even with stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like I have Christian friends that they don't believe in any of the stuff that's happening right
Yeah, it's
now,
too
right?
crazy. It's too extreme. Yeah, I had friends that were Christian growing up, and they would do stuff like help homeless people and feed people. And to me, that, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah,
And I have friends that are Buddhist, and they also are very philanthropists and sorry, tongue twister there.
yeah,
They would do things to help other people and
yeah,
less than judge. And so I was kind of like, whoa, the idea of Christianity down here is very judgmental. And
very
as
different.
they say, there's nothing like Christian love. Like it means something very different here. And God, guns, glory, very toxic, masculine vibe of
Right.
Jesus. Whereas I'm like, I thought Jesus was this hippie that was cool. Like, the fuck is this Jesus?
Yeah.
This is like
Hung out with the
toxic
lepers
masculinity.
and
Yeah,
all
hanging
that
out with
stuff.
the cool people. Like that was that song. Jesus was way cool. It's like, so I'm thinking, wow, the Jesus I imagine was this liberal hippie dude with really pretty hair. And this one is like toting guns. I'm like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
going on? Jesus on dinosaurs shooting gay people. I'm like, okay, whoa, no. And then the earth is flat. And I'm like, did I take LSD and die? I'm like, I'm in hell. I'm in literal,
Yeah.
well, PCP, I should say, literal hell sometimes. And someone's straight face says, oh, I believe in flat earth. And I'm like, no, just how about you drive to the end of the earth and you take a video and you show me the end. You show me that it falls.
Oh,
You show me, then I'll believe you, but they
it's
won't. I'm not driving there.
ridiculous.
Like, what? And
It's
then the
ridiculous.
birds are robots. And I'm like, oh,
I don't understand how you can look up at the sun and look up at the moon, but you think that the earth is flat. Like I don't know.
yeah.
People are a
And I'm
little,
thinking, how the fuck did we get here? And how the fuck did we get out of here? And
yeah.
it's,
So that
yeah.
in music. Okay, so where
Mhm.
is Betty X today, and what do you have what do you have brewing right now, and what people the audience out here can look for, or how they can, because we're gonna throw a couple of your videos in here because
Okay.
you're a powerhouse, so I want to have that, I want to have that known. And oh, something to touch on that's kind of cool that you and I have besides like knowing Jello and stuff, but we have our, both have our ministry experience where,
Oh gosh.
we've both done the ministry, been in the ministry camp on stage. So,
Wow.
I love powerful women and I love to put the light on them. And I want to know what Betty X is doing now and like what you're doing and
Okay.
what's your next thing? Where are you going?
I'm going insane very quickly. Um, I am working on several projects at the same time for a balancing effect. I am still doing the David Lynch dark lounge, bluesy, jazzy stuff, and we have a show in
I love
September
that.
coming up.
I love
It's
that stuff
and
you do.
yeah, I love it. That goes back to my roots and the whole Lynchian thing. It just my parents from the 50s and a lot of people think that the 50s everyone was very 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 strict or uptight conservatives and my parents are not, so it's like this happy 50s feeling when I see
Cool.
David Lynch in his films of like he seems so sweet, like such a nice dad. So I'm still doing the Lynchian, the dark Lynchian stuff. And I'm also working on the industrial metal because for cathartic reasons, I need to figure out how to get rid of this rage. I am so filled with it. I don't think it's healthy. And I just look at what's happening to women and children, and I can't fucking believe that people are okay with it. It
Yeah.
makes me insane, and I
And
feel
it's
powerless.
desensitized. People are desensitized
They're
because
desensitized and
they're these things. They're like, "Doo, doo, doo, doo,"
yeah, and we've normalized really shitty, horrible
yes.
stuff. Like these podcaster men that say, like, with the Tate brothers saying awful shit about women. And I'm like, why
Yeah.
the fuck is this happening? Like, I I put women on a pedestal. I think they're fucking amazing. It's
Yeah,
they
me
can give
too.
birth and create life. They can be tender and violent and dangerous and all these wonderful things. And I'm how are men okay with like I don't think highly of women. Like what the fuck happened? And it's just there's an unhealthy imbalance in the universe and I can sense it and I can feel it and I want to see more women resist and stand up because if we don't,
Yeah.
I don't know if this country will survive this.
Yeah.
And
Or this
I'm
world,
scared.
right? Like,
I'm very concerned. Yeah. And it's like I'm saying concerned. I'm trying to keep my shit together without being
yeah,
hysterical. But watching The Handmaid's Tale, it was scary the first season. The second season, I'm like, we are fucking living
yeah,
this. And I'd ask my other friends, and some are like, well, I try to tune it out. And I'm like, I don't know if we should tune it out. Like we
yeah.
have
But
to have
that's the
times to tune it
problem.
out. For our own sanity, escapism keeps you sane, but at the same time, I'm like, people, please, you need to be paying attention to June Osborne and taking fucking notes because if you can't drive out of Texas to go get an abortion in Seattle, Washington, which just happened, they tracked the woman down and brought her back.
Yeah,
it, that's not freedom. She's not a free person. She's property of the state. And if that can happen to her, we don't know much about her. It's coming for all of us. It's
yeah.
no one's going to be safe.
And
And so
so,
that backs the industrial metal part of what I'm working on, and also the paranormal podcast. Um, been trying to get that off the ground, and I keep getting sidetracked with the
yeah,
political
but
stuff.
it's such a great idea. That's a really cool idea you have, and I love it. And I think that, yeah, if you ever need any guests, I can find you guests.
Yay. Yeah. Yeah. Because I always have loved that. And it's also another thing is I've always been into conspiracy theories and paranormal, but at the same time, there's like a divide that liberals aren't supposed to be into it. And it's like, well, I'm curious about aliens and UFOs too. And
Why
I'm
are
not,
they not supposed to? We're
I
humans.
think,
We're here on this planet. Of course, we're going to think about
yeah.
that. Like that, to me, that's just a given. Like, I
I
don't know.
think the QAnon made people like when they hear the word conspiracy, they're worried. And I get it. I understand people are really scared of that. And at the same time, it's like it's still good to keep an open mind, like a
An
child.
open
Like,
mind is important
yeah,
for anything on this
yeah.
planet,
Keep
and
our mind.
anything
Yeah.
beyond this planet. Ooh,
Yeah. There's some, yeah, the big X-Files fan, obviously, and
yeah.
Twin Peaks has that the paranormal
I,
vibe.
I shouldn't say this on my podcast, but my ex-husband was nominated for 2 Emmys for X-Files. So I know the whole like
Oh,
X-Files game. So I
gotcha.
definitely, yeah, I have my own alien stuff that I believe, and
But
I'm working on
in the
a
north,
I'm working
in
on
the
a series.
Northwest,
Yeah.
it's kind of impossible. Everyone I know has a story. Like
Yep.
I've never met Bigfoot yet, and I'm from the Northwest, and I don't know how that didn't happen.
I
But
think my stepfather was a Bigfoot for sure.
your dad's a Bigfoot.
My sister's father was like so tall and long, crazy
Oh
hair and a
wow!
beard. He was awesome. So I was
You
like,
dress them up and do the Patterson film remake
yeah,
reenaction.
there we go.
But it does feel like the Northwest. Growing up there, not to be into the paranormal seems like odd. Like it's so intertwined with growing up in the
I,
woods and seeing weird shit. Like to this day, I don't know what I saw. And it could be early military testing, which probably logically is the truth, but seeing hovering type of lights
necessarily.
and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, is that one thing I think about, like, whole the punk rock, this is punk rock or whatever,
Uh-huh.
is that it gives you, we're a whole bunch of outcasts and
Yeah.
misfits. Oh my God, I can't even talk
Misfits.
to misfits. That all have come together and that we believe in all different
Oh yeah.
possible things and we want to express ourselves in all kinds
Hmm.
of different ways. And to me, I think that um, punk has a lot of boundaries, but of stuff, but at the same time, I feel like it's all inclusive. Like just be who
Yes.
you
Yeah.
are, wear what you are, say what you are, play
Yeah.
the chords that you want. You're like, oh, this is
Hmm.
weird. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is straightforward.
Exactly.
Like, you know what
Yes.
I mean? So I think
Hmm.
it's that license to explore when we talk about the paranormal, when we talk about all kinds of things. It's like, well, why can't we talk about that? Why can't we expand
Yeah.
our minds and figure out,
Exactly.
compare notes, and it's
Yeah.
fun at the same time, right? So,
Totally.
I'm excited to see what you got going on, and we're going to throw a couple of videos up to show everyone some of your work. I want to showcase some of that really sultry, dark stuff and some of your industrial stuff too. And yeah, I'm excited about your future, and I want to play with you one day. I think
That would be really fun.
we got to do
That
a
would be a lot
show
of
or
fun.
a tour or something.
That would be cool. Definitely, without a doubt. Yeah. Yeah. But punk rock to me, why I love it so much is it's Dada. It's Dada 1920s morphed into punk, and it's society tells you you have to do this. And punk Dada says, no, you fucking don't. And you can do what you want to do or need to do or what you need to say. Instead of, you're a woman, you dress this way, you have children, and no, you don't fucking have to do any of that shit. And there's always been trailblazers and crazy women, Amelia Earhart. There's always somebody
Yeah.
doing their own goddamn thing. And that to me is punk rock. And it is an attitude and a do it yourself and fuck the system and trying to keep true to yourself against all odds. And there's a lot of fucking pressure to behave and toe the line and get the right job and have the right iPhone so you have the right friends and
Yeah.
you know.
And fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck your iPhone. Yeah, I had someone say, "Oh, you don't have this iPhone? I can't talk to you." And they were dead fucking serious. They
Who
weren't
are
just.
these people? Pay
And
from
he's a
them.
producer. He's a
Oh,
well-known producer. It's not Al, just to let you know.
oh.
I was kind of like, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
And it's like, if I
exactly.
have a friend who doesn't have a fucking phone, I'd rather go sit by Dick's Drive-In. There's like really cheap hamburgers in Seattle, and
Yeah.
drink a Thunderbird 500 in the alley or a Strawberry Boon Hill with a true fucking friend than sit in a fancy restaurant
Oh, of
with
course.
champagne with assholes any
Yeah,
day. And
no, a hundred
yeah,
percent. I
yeah.
agree 100%. It's
True
about,
friends would be like,
it's about being authentic, right? And
exactly. Yep.
that's what it is it to me. And I don't care what you do, just be authentic about it, right?
Yep.
If you want to be in your
Yep.
fancy restaurants and be silly and go, well, I'm a
True.
fucking asshole, like, well, just be authentic about it, right?
Yeah, you could be in the fancy restaurant and still have fun and not be an asshole. But yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
But in general, if I had to choose, I'm like, I would rather sit on the stoop, smoke my clove cigarette, eat the Dick's Drive-In hamburger, have Strawberry Hill, cheap
Yeah, just
wine, and talk to real friends about real weird
yeah,
shit like art and
yeah,
activisms and
for
changing
sure.
things.
Definitely. Well, on that
Yeah.
amazing note, we're going to keep our eye open for what you got going on in the future and your new albums and stuff that you're having, and even this paranormal podcast.
That'll be fun.
So yeah, that would be super fun. And I'm looking forward to all of that stuff. So thank you so
Cool.
much for being on the
Thank
show.
you.
Really
This was
great to
very
see
fun.
you and your beautiful face and your cool room there.
My X-File altar.
That's cool though. It's cool. We're working on a series called Left in Space, and so
Nice.
it's pretty neat. It's all like campy kind of
Oh,
cool
cool.
stuff too. So I'll keep you posted on that at one
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
So
I would love to hear, and I'd love to have you on the podcast. 'Cause
yeah,
I had Levi on. I did one, and then I took a big pause, which I was like, oh no, I paused too long. But I
yeah.
got to get back
It's a
into
lot of
the.
work. It's a lot of
It's
work.
yeah,
A
and
lot
we're
of
all like
time.
one, two-person army. It's like, and
I
other
hear
people
you.
are like, how come you can't do this and that? And I'm like, that person is 150 makeup artists and assistants.
Yeah, of
You're
course.
trying to get me to keep up
Yeah.
with the Kardashians. I cannot do
Yeah,
this.
me too. I know I get the same stuff, but
Yeah.
you're like me, working day and night, doing what
Yeah.
we do, and that's, that's punk rock. So
Yep.
thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.